see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain.
Thank you, darling. Oh, so I'm gonna assume that I am being heard. Is that a okay? Woo, because I'm showing no difference on anything that I'm doing over here. So this proves the perfect point. Is like, why are do-overs look so why are do-overs look appealing? You know, that's the question. You know, like maybe today, it's like why does that sound like a good idea or appealing idea?
Yeah, and if you were Helen Schuckman, you'd say it's not.
Right, because everything's okay. Everything's already okay, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh, I want it. Let's start over. Let's do that again. It's like, but that's what acting is about, you know. It's like, okay, cut. Okay, we're gonna roll it back. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna get it right this time. Cut. You know, if the number of times I have loved to like, okay, stop everything, just stop. You know, has been would be appealing. So we learned about the question today.
Speaking of which, this program is being recorded for broadcast and replay on our website. Please be aware that by speaking or typing on the board, you give consent to have your comments become part of the recording. Thank you.
I just want to say this looks like the first time we've ever done this. We only skipped a week, y'all.
I know. And we all switched around each other's brains. I think, you know, you know, but yeah. we're really, so it's like, what is consistent about these messages? You know, what is the consistent thing about this? So this is fun. Very, very fun. But
Cindy.
We get to look at Reincarnation tonight. Do you have any opening ideas for Reincarnation? What
this may be well, this may be my favorite section.
Oh, actually. Really? Why?
I love the way that this subject is treated. I think this is the way every subject should be treated. So it's perfect. I will tell you that I grew up in a family that very much believed in reincarnation. And, you know, Dad was really into Eckert Casey. And, gosh, stop now. I can't remember the name. Oh, Ruth Montgomery. Have you heard of Ruth Montgomery? Yeah, so I mean, just way back, Shirley MacLaine. I mean, you know, that came years later, but all of that stuff. So reincarnate. So I grew up, you know, just assuming that was, you know, whatever your parents teach you, that's what you assume is actually true, at least until you become a young adult. But that's not what this section says, no. And that pleases me no end. Yeah, so I think it gets right to, I mean, I think it talks about what's in the fourth principle of God. It certainly doesn't call it that, and how what's in the fourth principle can be simply a distraction from the task at hand, which is to be enlightened now. I mean, that's the short summary of it. But again, I thought it was brilliant.
I think the last two paragraphs of this section maybe should be on a plaque in front of every you know, every church or every university, synagogue, community center. The aim is to, you know, that's really brilliant. But we've talked. Well, let me tell you, I have. My family does not believe in reincarnation. I didn't grow up with reincarnation at all. You know, it was like you one life to live, baby. You know,
don't blow it.
You know, and everything counts. Okay,
You don't get do-overs.
And there's a permanent record. I mean, that was the thing in the permanent record. You better be careful about that. About that permanent record.
Yeah. I agree. I'm looking for a pen. I'm sorry if I look distracted.
So I came to reincarnation at trying to sort of make sense of like dreams and feelings I was having with with people I was encountering in my life. People love and intimate relationships, and I would have dreams and other encounters and whole sets of scenarios and stuff when I I would fall in love with somebody or something like that, and this whole other lives things would come out, and then when I went to ayahuasca, part of this force principle of God, when I went to Peru and did ayahuasca, you might be familiar with, it's easily lookupable, easily Googleable, and I was shown, like in my own personal mythology, the way the mother worked with me, is like all the development of you to this place, the development of this consciousness and this awareness to this place from a from a large sense of space to a small, and moves into a succession like syntropic farm. I'm learning right now it's like syntropic farming, so it's very interesting. So when I was hallucinating high on ayahuasca, she showed me all of my past lives. So this is very interesting. So it's like I don't come from a family that does any of that.
Or you were simply tripping out of your mind.
I'm saying that as this is my relationship to all of this and stuff, and and it's true. It's true. Well, we're gonna without getting into spoilers. You want to read first? You want to read first, Jacquelyn?
Is it mine to do? Am I to read?
Okay. Shauna and I were talking behind your back.
Oh, well, that's all right. I'm used to that. Okay, here we go. So I will read it. Again, this is Course in Miracles, Manual for Teachers, section or chapter 24, Is Reincarnation True? Okay. In the ultimate sense, reincarnation is impossible. There is no past nor future, and the idea of birth into a body has no meaning either once or many times. Right. Reincarnation cannot then be true in any real sense. Our only question should be, is the concept helpful? And that depends, of course, on what it is used for. If it is used to strengthen the recognition of the eternal nature of life, it is helpful indeed. Is any other question about it really useful in lighting up the way? Like many other beliefs, it can be bitterly misused. At least such misuse offers preoccupation and perhaps pride in the past. At worst, it induces inertia in the present. In between, many kinds of folly are possible. Reincarnation would not, under any circumstances, be the problem to be dealt with now. If it were responsible for some of the difficulties the individual faces now, his task would still be only to escape from them now. If he is laying the groundwork for a future life, he can still work out his salvation only now. To some, there may be comfort in the concept, and if it heartens them, its value is self-evident. It is certain, however, that the way to salvation can be found by those who believe in reincarnation and by those who do not. The idea cannot, therefore, be regarded as essential to the curriculum. There's always some risk in seeing the present in terms of the past. There's always some good in any thought which strengthens the idea that life and the body are not the same. For our purposes, it would not be helpful to take any definite stand on reincarnation. A teacher of God should be as helpful to those who believe in it as those who do not. If a definite stand on it were required of him, it would merely limit his usefulness. A hard time speaking and I don't know why. If a definite stand on it were required of him, it would merely limit his usefulness as well as his own decision making. Our course is not concerned with any concept that is not acceptable to anyone, regardless of his formal beliefs. His ego will be enough for him to cope with, and it is not part of wisdom to add sectarian controversies to his beliefs. To his burdens. There you go. Nor would there be an advantage in his premature acceptance of the course merely because it advocates a long-held belief of his own. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that this course aims at a complete reversal of thought. Hey, George. When this is finally accomplished, issues such as the validity of reincarnation become meaningless. Until then, they are likely to be merely controversial. The teacher of God is therefore wise to step away from all such questions, for he has much to teach and learn apart from them. He should both learn and teach that theoretical issues but waste time, draining it away from its appointed purpose. If there are aspects to any concept or belief that will be helpful, he will be told about it. He will also be told how to use it. What more need he know? Does this mean that the teacher of God should not believe in reincarnation himself or discuss it with others who do? The answer is certainly not. If he does believe in reincarnation, it would be a mistake for him to renounce the belief unless his internal teacher so advised. And this is most unlikely. He might be advised that he is misusing the belief in some way, which is detrimental to his pupil's advance or his own. Reinterpretation would then be recommended because it would be necessary. All that must be recognized, however, is that birth was not the beginning and death is not the end. Yet even this much is not required of the beginner. He need merely accept the idea that what he knows is not necessarily all there is to learn. His journey has begun. The emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. This is still your one responsibility. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. All beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. In this sense, it can be said that their truth lies in their usefulness. All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. Yay. The crowd goes wild. I love it. So good.
I know. So it's like, put this in the last paragraph. Maybe it was just the last paragraph. Put this last paragraph in bronze on the front door.
Yeah, I think this page should just be repeated over and over and over. For how many pages is this course?
Well, some of us need to learn the language of love and knowledge in ways that we will actually incorporate into our, trial and error mechanisms.
I hear you.
Yeah. I of course loved this too. I had forgotten that she goes I remember kind of what she said about reincarnation, but I didn't remember how like specific, how like gentle and like clear she was. Of course, is in this section, and I kind of lumped the first two paragraphs together, and it's really wonderful that she talks about the use of any. This is the use of a concept, just the use of any concept at all. I mean, she's using reincarnation, and she says, "Thank you for the question, Padawan. Let me ask it in a better way that'll be helpful for you."
She doesn't just answer straight questions.
No,
she just does.
No. She could have said no. No, there's no such thing as reincarnation. Next question.
That's how I would do it.
I have a feeling. Dong. I have a next. I know the answer to that one. We've already decided this. This is not on the table for discussion. I get it. So he goes, she says, if an idea, she gives you parameters. okay, about how to look at a helpful idea or an idea that, or this is a polarity, right? An idea that can be used both positive and negative. And I talk about this a lot in the way I do things because I love Integral that does this. So if an idea is helpful, what it does is it strengthens our relationship with the eternal nature of life. That's what she says, the eternal nature of life. So Sweet. This is its usefulness in lighting the way. Again, she's got this. I love it because the lamp is such a major metaphor in A Course in Miracles. And again, she's using the way that goes. Is it lighting the way? Is it showing you, enlightening the path for you? Is it heartening? She says, and is it a reminder that the life and the body are not the same thing? Yes. So I think any concept that helps you like piece those things together, then it's going to be useful to you. It's going to be useful. But see if you can, any kind of misinterpretation or misuse of any principle, it'll be a preoccupation with the past. It'll have inertia for the future. See, those are material solutions. Those are always material solutions, right? The way something looks. And she goes, she doesn't even want to go into it. She goes, just many kinds of folly. She goes, you don't even have to categorize this, how many ways you can get this wrong. It's just folly, It's it's so gentle. It's like, it's just, I think, so, and she gives you a reminder at the very first, she goes, reincarnation is never the problem. So she redirects. Oh, you want to talk about reincarnation? I said, reincarnation is never the problem. You don't want to really talk about reincarnation. So reincarnation isn't even essential to the curriculum. Let me tell you what's behind the question. And she tells you what's behind the question. To think there's something to do that's any more important than being present to what is. If there's any other way of interpreting the information from the source rather than getting it second or third hand, like reading a novel about yourself to figure out what you're supposed to do next. That's a lot like what I think about. Like, it might be an interesting and very helpful and a detailed novel, but it's never going to be the information and presence and stuff that it's right here, right now, doing with us. It's satisfying. She talks about it being satisfied. So then the next two paragraphs are lumped together, and she goes, is it serving the aim of any principle? Is it serving the aim of the Course? The Course doesn't make any definite stand on all kinds of issues. That reincarnation isn't one of them. It goes, is just chanting help? She just doesn't make any statements about whether mantra helps. Does fasting help? Yeah. Doesn't give any kind of do pilgrimages work? She doesn't give any. She just never says anything about it. There's all kinds of spiritual practices that she never says anything. Incense or candles or what kind of method of meditation you want to use, or where you should go, or she doesn't say anything about that. I think this is true. We could have asked her about any of this. Are puppets essential to awakening? And then,
I don't know. Do they help?
Well, if you can put I can see where it would be beneficial. So where it's just being helpful, and the advice she gives is to let go of the controversy, to let go of whether it works or not. To let go of getting into proving or not proving whether something is helpful to somebody else. You should have enough to do with your own ego, she says.
Yeah. But that'll keep you busy for a lifetime. Or several.
My mother says, "Oh, you want something to do? Are you bored? Do you want something to do?" She'd put you to work is what would happen. Right. And she goes, and plus, you're really like low-key insulting me, because it's like, if you need to know something that's essential for your awakening, I'll tell it to you. You don't have to go to like the marketplace or anything else. You just have to listen and be here now, and everything that you need to, like, a thing is going to be given to you. Why do you think you need to travel elsewhere to get anything that's going to that's going to work? It's all being like funneled directly, into your little bird mouth, Padawan. She does. She's very, 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 very gentle. So she goes, listen, and she goes, and the way you do that is you turn around and you listen to the internal teacher, and you, and accept the idea that you don't know everything, and that there's maybe more to learn and maybe more to understand, and this beginner's mind where you haven't made up your mind about everything all the time and forever, about the way things should have been and the way things are going to be. Maybe if you lived without doing that, you'd hear more of these things I'm trying to tell you, maybe. And she ends it up with a really good place. This could be a song. This is like lyrics to a song. It's like an anthem, rock anthem. My one responsibility is to accept the atonement. And in this moment, heaven is here. And in this moment, there is nowhere else. And in this moment, heaven is now. And there is no other time. She makes this, this cadence. She kind of gets going. And she defines a really good way of talking about the atonement, which proves that I have not awakened to the first principle yet. Is because I am affected by the past, and I do care about the future no matter what. I am interested in, I have not waken up to the first principle. So I have not escaped completely from the past. I think I mostly have. I don't have no interest in the future, but it doesn't have to be a certain way anymore. But there's not lack of interest. She gives us the final reminders that truth lies in its usefulness, and only truth is true. So that's, if you can put it up against those touchstones, then you've already got it. But she's just, I'm really interested in how this worked for you, since you said you love this so much.
My turn.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Very simple. Very simple. I didn't highlight a whole lot. I mean, I highlighted a lot, but I didn't read it all. So I'm getting better at synopsis. Yolanda says, you could say it in probably 10 less words.
Fair enough. First of all, and so I'll play your role tonight. Because first of all, let me pick this apart. This first several sentences, in the ultimate sense, reincarnation is impossible. There's no past nor future, and the idea of birth into a body has no meaning either once or many times. I love that. Something about that is just like, okay, even if it were true, who cares, right? Because it's just the whole idea of birth itself, birth into a body, is meaningless.
Required for existence, I know. God isn't in the nutrient cycle.
Right, exactly. Well, or it is. It's the only thing. Or there is not a nutrient cycle, or however you want to describe it. But yeah. But she says our only question should be, is the concept helpful? And that, of course, depends on what it's used for. When I read this, I'm like, shoot, I didn't know the Course said that. I thought that was an original idea. I mean, if somebody asked me, it was reincarnation. In fact, Shauna and we've probably talked about it, Shauna. Do you believe in reincarnation? Well, I don't know. I don't think it matters. The only question is it helpful now? And I just love that. And we see this same teaching across different texts. We certainly see it in, I can't tell you where, all over it, I think, but in Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, the question is, what's it for? Yeah. So and certainly we see this in other places in the Course. That's the only helpful question ever, is what's it for? Is it again where she ends up in this chapter? Does it point towards truth, or does it point away from truth? That's only ever the question. So and so in that vein, my dog in the background, which distracted me. In that vein, she tells us, if it gives you comfort, then it's probably helpful, because a little comfort's a good thing. If somebody that you're talking to believes in it, don't try and talk them out of it. That's not helpful. Like you said earlier, you said that in terms of just let go of controversy, because the controversy is not helpful, which reminds me of the story I often tell poorly because I can't remember who did it, where people were arguing over something that the course said, and whoever the teacher was just ripped the page out, said, hey, man, it's just not important. It's not important enough to argue about. Nothing is
Wow.
is that important. And then she gets to the second paragraph. She's like, look, let me show you how it's meaningless.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it were real, and because of all that crappy stuff you did in your past lives, and you're dealing with the karma now, your task is still the same thing. It's to wake up now. It's to wake up now. Or even if you're like, well, I'm not going to get in this lifetime, so I'm going to be really, I'm going to be as good as I can, so the next lifetime out, that's not going to work either, because the task is always to wake up now. And she talks about, she says there's always some risk, and I think I'm surprised that she said some risk. I think shocking that she said there's always some risk in seeing the present in terms of the past. That's always problematic. Some risk is way too light. If you're seeing the present in terms of the past, you're messing up, right? Yeah. And then she says, this is lovely. There's always some good in any thought, which strengthens the idea that life and the body are not the same, right? Because isn't that what the Course teaches? And it teaches it in such a way that Course in Miracles students often miss it. I am not the body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And we just get into this kind of rote saying of the words without really contemplating what it means. So I love how it is said here: life and the body are not the same. So what I am does extend beyond the body. And so if reincarnation helps you understand that concept, yay. Yeah, I say it's a good thing, right? And that's what she's saying here. It's lovely. Let's see. I love that she emphasizes that, first of all, you got enough to deal with your ego. That is so funny, right? So you don't need to worry about all this other little stuff that is irrelevant. Just deal with your ego. And then for her to just set right out what A Course in Miracles is about. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that this course aims at a complete reversal of thought. And let me say that, one of the mistakes that we make on the spiritual path is eschewing our old beliefs and then adopting new ones, Oh, yeah. It's like, okay, I won't believe in reincarnation, but I know, you don't know anything. That's the ultimate fact. You don't know. And she says that, of course, on the, for me on the next page here, right? All you need to know, and of course you said this as well, Glenn, all you need to know is that you don't know everything. So to the extent that you can open to that, it's helpful. Yeah, and again, she emphasizes all that must be recognized is that birth was not the beginning and death is not the end. It's just so sweet. Just so sweet. You are not the body. But let me say this in a way that you don't get confused about what that's saying. Yeah.
Life.
Yeah, life is life is life, and life is eternal, and therefore you're eternal. All of that is contained within that. This sentence, I wouldn't mind taking a minute to talk about. Sure. The emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. Now, I think we could spend weeks on that sentence.
Sure.
And certainly we know that the Course says that in other places as well. It's ringing back here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, but of course it talks about the holy instant. And And again, we we think of the holy instant as a bunch of instants we're going to string together to make the past and the future.
Oh yeah, it's kind of that doesn't really make a good. That's not helpful, is it?
Yeah. No, it's not helpful. It's not helpful. But really, to really look at this question of, okay, wait, here's the emphasis of the entire course. It's always the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. And that's not what we do. We're like, well, when I get as disciplined as Regina or whatever, smart as Romana or whatever it is, gentle as Muji, then I'll get it. It's always now, then. If once I accomplish something, once I do something. And so the whole of the course, you can see how the whole of the course is contained right there. There's no need to do anything. No. You are what you are. You are beyond the body. You are beyond the ego that has to be molded and become better and eventually, Mm-hmm. All of salvation is offered you in this instant. And what you call the test, which I think is sweet, because it's like, well, if that's a test, we're all screwed, right? But this is still your one responsibility. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Now, who is the only entity that has total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future? It's a non-person.
I know. It's first principle.
Yes. Yeah. Well, but I mean, so when we talk about giving up personal will, when we talk about disidentifying with the personal self, this is what we're talking about. Only a personal self. Only somebody who had needs and preferences would need a past and a future. Mm-hmm. If I'm not identified with that personal self, I don't give a rat's ass what came before or what's coming after. I don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's loving. That's loving all. It's just, often when we talk about being in the present moment, we miss that too because we got all those concepts around it. But really, if I'm not interested in what happened in the past, I'm not interested in the future. I mean, that's the purview of the ego. It could only be the purview of the personal self is the past and the future. Mm-hmm. To be resting in awareness, to be stepped back from that. I mean, the second you do it, the second you step back, whoosh, you're in the holy instant. There's no past. There's no future. You're not trying to get anywhere. You're not trying to accomplish anything. It just is. Mm-hmm. It just is. I mean, and this paragraph is just amazing. That release from the past and the future, that release from the personal self, that's complete salvation. Mm-hmm.
It's always available.
It's very, very, very powerful. So again, as you said, beautiful. Heaven is here. There's nowhere else. Heaven is now. There's no other time. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's sweet.
It's real perspective for me. It's like, oh, when those solutions come up, I know who's talking. If the past has to be different, or I'll learn this lesson. I know who's talking. I know what paradigm I'm existing in, and where the question comes from, and where it exists in, and where the Overton window of solutions exist. But beyond all that, it's like, oh, this is all moving. This is all moving and arising. In Yolanda's quote of the mother, I'm not. All things are done through me, as me, for me. As me, as I receive them. So there's, and to me, this really got to a place of being. Again, I was left with. Then this is supposed to be fun. Then this is a real choice and a gift of awareness and materiality and beauty and sunsets and being able to hug your neighbor and language and everything like, why not? You know, it all becomes art. Every single thing
becomes art.
It all becomes art because it's not necessary. It's not a thing for the curriculum. Walking in and breathing in this literal thing that's creating itself. You know, if you let it, if we can get, you know, let's say heaven is on earth and you just don't see it. It's like, you know, this like learning how to see again. You know, learning how to see not my past with somebody when I encounter them for the first time. You know, again, you know, not always. It's like remembering how what this person can do for me in the future. You meet somebody that says, "Oh," you meet somebody who goes, "Oh, I'm got a future with this person," and everything like that. To catch myself planning, you know, doing this with people that I meet. You know, it's like, oh, you know, or doing this even with people that I've known for a long time. It's.
Let me say that
Go ahead.
As you speak, 2 course lessons come to me. One is God is my source; I cannot see apart from Him, and the other one is in my defenselessness, my safety lies. And they're both talking about this very thing. It's funny. I was just talking about this too the other day. I got it written in my margin from years ago about the idea of being. It's not an idea; it's the truth. But being limitless. Because the belief in the past and the future are limitations. They're the limitations of self. They're the limitations that we voluntarily adopt. It's the box we put ourselves in. But if there's no past and no future, what are the limits? If I have no needs, if I don't need this thing to be this way and that thing to be that way, or tomorrow to be more like this than that, where are the limits? There are none.
What could we create together? You know, what could we experience together? What could what would a human look like? What would a human act like? What would the world and the earth and everything look like? Just interesting.
So who cares whether there was a previous life and whether I was close to enlightenment in that life, or whether I'll get it next time? I mean, who cares? It's now. It's right now. It's so obvious. Go ahead.
But we really, really, really want someone to keep record, don't we?
Very good, very good. You made it. You get a star.
You can, he goes, I know you. That's what, it's like, you've done all the tasks, you've checked off the boxes, you have done the curriculum, you've made the correct grades on all the things, and now you graduate to the next life, or things like that.
Which is the way we like to think of it, but Glenn, the truth is you never get a good score on that scale. That's the problem.
But that's the beauty of the scale. You can't win. You can't. It's like playing. You're already sunk. It's because you enter the paradigm and you're dead. Okay.
The way to win is not to play the game. Seems like it said that in Revolver, but
the way to win is not to play. Yeah, but that's right. Yeah, there's only, I don't know about you, but I was only ever offered the board game and told that was all there was. Only ever offered one set of parameters, and that's all really all there was. And this was such a message for me of like interfaith that was made me feel really good as well. Because I look at different. There's things that affect me that don't really, maybe affect or move or are sources for other people, and that's great. But so I felt like she was in the course. Wasn't giving me permission. It was like confirming that I have a good sense of what's helpful for myself. To use that criteria. It's like to be like, no, we're only going to use the course, only do the course, only study things come out of the course and the course groups and materials, and get really fundamentalist about that or whatever. It's like it's a really good way of saying branch out and look at what is moving to you and what is calling and what you have a relationship with, and make progress and evaluate it with, is this being helpful, or am I using this polarity in the correct way? Am I is this being is this concept beneficial? I think it's like so practical is going to church beneficial? Because I know lots of ACIM people that go to like very, very, like pretty fundamentalist, brick and mortar churches and things like that, because this, she gets a lot out of the, goes there. She goes, I know, it's just, it's not what we talk about, So how you organize your life and how the concepts are useful to move yourself forward. That's like personal integrity as well, and in your own sense of trust in your own path and trust in your own teacher in guidance. It's nice. It's really nice. So, and the emphasis of the other way around is be a teacher that can be understood by a lot of people. Because the more specific...
No, honey. Reincarnation is not true. No. Let me disabuse you of that notion right now. And let me tell you what is true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not helpful. So be a good teacher and use whatever's available for... The tools are all lying around us. If you're teaching somebody, you're the pupil, that you are the student, the teaching and learning, center opportunity, right? The teaching and learning opportunity, as opposed to the hopeless and closed learning opportunity.
May I help you?
May I help you with the hopeless and closed learning opportunity? So it's like you have that. It's like, oh, I have tools to evaluate. I have the lamp to evaluate what I'm looking at. Is this giving me more the atonement? Do I worry less and plan less, or scheme or worry or manipulate or try to affect out exterior things? Does it help me not trigger those things, or I see them quicker? That's what it's helpful for. It's like, oh, I'm looking for solutions where there aren't solutions. I don't want to be insane, but that's for Sunday. I'm getting into next week's lesson.
Okay. Should we see what other folks?
Please, I'd love. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's. Who wants to share? George.
Yeah, George.
Well, let me tell you the way it really is now.
Thanks, George. We were waiting for somebody to do that.
We rely on you for that, George.
Yeah, yeah. Is it real? Well, I don't remember any past lives, but I'm not going to deny that anybody else does. But as Glenn pointed out, we're in the fourth principle of God here. That has nothing to do to get us up to the first principle of God. That's right. As long as we're stuck in a particular belief. So we have to get over the world.
Yes.
In all its flavors. And go on to something in a higher realm.
Yeah, and that's a moment by moment thing. I mean, that's not I'm going to do that next year when I'm smarter or more meditative.
Right.
It's now. It's right now. Yeah.
I mean, I am absolutely addicted to life. Just the life of George. I'm just addicted to it.
You're interested in what George is doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Yeah, in the past and the future.
Oh, I know how it's all going to turn out, and making sure I've got a good-looking corpse to slide into the grave when I'm all done.
Oh God, that's disgusting. I don't know. That grosses me out. I don't know why.
And I've got all the right toys lined up. I have all the right people saying all the right things about me.
Bury me in my Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Set me in the bar and have a party around me.
Yeah, I remember that. Prop me up next to the jukebox. Yeah, I know that song.
Yeah. It occurred to me, if there's no past, if there's no concept of the past or the future, George doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If my awareness is just now with no thought about the future and no memory of the past, then I'm just here.
That's brilliant. That's right. Then you're just here.
And she says, if you could, that you should be able to see a door in front of you and walk through it. It's like reality is on the other. It's like step out of, all of sensory existence is all there is, we know that can't be true. And how about the concept that reincarnation says the only way to learn something is in a body? Like the only way to get these concepts or to become awake, the mechanism for knowing oneness requires a material existence. That on its face is ridiculous.
Yeah, in fact, George was just saying that a couple weeks ago in Something Genuine, when he's like, wait, all of these stories assume that keeping the body alive is the goal, right? And it's not. It's not. That's not the ultimate goal.
No. It must be fun to have a body, though, I think.
Well, it must be. There's 8 billion of them.
Well, it certainly can't be punishment, right? It can't be punishment, and it can't be attack. So so the physical existence, and you can come, and it says at the very beginning, in the introduction, it says, "This is a Course in Miracles. It's a required course. Only the time that you take it is voluntary." That's what she says at the very beginning. Free will doesn't mean that you can establish the curriculum. It only means that you can elect what you want to take at a given time.
I know that phrase well, and I hadn't contemplated it for a while, but it sure strikes me that that's fully consistent with this this idea that you're following one script or the other, right? Yeah. I mean, you've really got, there is no free will. You're either following the dictates of the ego or or the script of the Holy Spirit. You're not really making any decisions.
Well, she says that you never make a decision by yourself. Yeah. She says you never make a decision by yourself. You're either making it with a bunch of bad ideas, or you're making it with reality, but you're never making it by yourself.
Yeah. Yolanda, Shauna, y'all want to chirp in here? Yolanda?
Sure. Okay. It seems that I'm speaking very loud. I'm going to move this back. So I became really interested in this phrase that you corrected me in the chat, which is great. To win is not to play the game. I'm wondering if you can talk a little more about that. That's interesting to me.
I'm not sure where we were in the conversation when we talked about that, but so let me just start as if I don't remember, because I don't. But in life, we think we got, I got to get mine before you get yours, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The only way really to come out on top is to not engage in any of that at all. There is no competition, right? I don't need to engage. I don't need to make sure that I get this and I get that and I get that I win all those treasures that the world promises. The only way to truly win is to disengage from the whole gamut of what the world thinks is valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've done that, Yolanda. That's what our families are mad at.
Oh. That is true. There's a deeper thing for me now that I'm going through, and that is letting go of Yolanda. You know what I mean? So it's just sort of it's kind of like what George said. If I'm right here, right now, and this is what is real, this moment is what is real, then there's no Yolanda. And that is so scary, I guess. And I immediately, as I said that, realized that that's the ego's hook, It's, oh my God, that's so, I'm getting a chill right now. This is profound to me. So in context of the discussion of reincarnation, which I never really had a this way or that way. Like, I don't necessarily believe in it or not believe in it, whatever. I just think it's an interesting, like Glenn said, art form. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like, and even I think of it that way. But there's something connected to me because I have something very invested in, my story, my story does involve a bit about reincarnation. That's been my story throughout most of my adult life, and it also has. But now I'm thinking that's okay. It's a piece of the artwork that I'm making. You know what I mean? Somehow this is so it doesn't have to be, if it's helpful to me, like she was saying, then that's okay for a purpose. I don't have to rip it out of my self or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It seems like it's a line from NTI that says, like, everything's okay. I don't think it uses the word okay. Permissible, but not everything's beneficial. Right? So, yeah. So you can't mess up. Everything's okay. If the question is, does it point you towards the truth or away from it? A couple other things that I want to say in response to what you said, Rep. Yolanda, and that is, you say there's still something to me that, is really attached, or however you said that, to my story. And the thing that is in you that is really attached to your story isn't actually you. It's not, that's your ego. That is what ego is that attachment to the story. The other thing that occurs to me is when you, I just want to say, and it's occurred to me to say this a couple times, that we all know exactly what it feels like for there to be no Jacquelyn, no Yolanda, no George, no Shauna, no Glenn. We know what that feels like when we drop into that space. And you know what space I'm talking about. You are not there. You are not there. You're not thinking of, right? You're not thinking about what's you are, that person is not there. And that's the complete salvation that she talks about in this chapter. That's available in any instant and in every instant. And that's total freedom from the belief in a personal self. And it's all there. You don't have to do anything to accomplish it. It's there. Drop in and taste it. It's there. Oh, Glenn, where did your volume go? You can't hear a word you're saying.
I turned my mic off because it's easier with the echo.
Oh, okay.
She's a room and a half away from me, and we're getting electronic feedback, so I turned it off. Now I forgot what I was going to. Forgot what I was going to.
Talking about the holy instant and how when you drop into that space, you're not there.
Yeah, it's and it doesn't require the body to be in any particular condition.
That's right.
Right. It doesn't need to be on a meditation cushion or on a beautiful hike with a beautiful room, making love to a beautiful person, or in complete pain, getting like the Buddhists say of the guy. There's 3 monks. I always remember this. 3 monks are going through the forest, and of a renowned tiger killer, where a renowned man killing tiger lives. So these 3 monks go, and the tiger chases them, and the 2 of them get up a tree, and the third one helps the 2 get up the tree, but he gets eaten by the tiger. And the 2 monks from the top of the tree shout out encouraging statements of enlightenment, and the monk became enlightened while being ate by a tiger, but with the help of his friends shouting encouragement from the trees above him while he was torn to shreds. So,
I'm pretty sure I want to be in the tree in that story. Rev Yolanda.
I want to ask what you think. So, when we sleep, is that detachment from this story of self? What do you think?
I think it can be just like Glenn said. I think it doesn't matter the condition of the body, but also I had the craziest dream. I had the craziest dream last night. I'm pretty sure that's not enlightenment. So I mean, I don't think, I don't think in and of itself sleep is that.
Mm-hmm. Well, even Regina said.
So it's so.
Well,
no, go ahead.
Okay, not even Regina, or like Regina says very well that Jesus appearing to you at the end of the bed and teaching you every night for 40 nights is still fourth principle.
Yeah,
that's what I was just gonna say. I was trying to make that connection.
you two are so insane.
This is a fascinating discussion. I'm like loving it.
I think we're out of time, though. Shauna, did you have anything you wanted to share before we wrap it up?
Just real quick, I love the way she talks about this. I mean, for me, it's like, what did they do with Helen? This doesn't even sound like her. It's so clear.
Maybe that's why I like it so much.
Right? And I never believed in reincarnation. One of the things that made me really look at reincarnation was almost everybody was a priestess or a priest. They were never suffering terribly.
What?
What's up with that? They must be making this up. And then again, it's just a way to pull me out of the present moment, which you demonstrated so beautifully. Jacquelyn, as we drop into that, there is no person here. It's just now. It's so perfect. So thank you all. This was beautiful discussion.
Alrighty, so we're just gonna drop. I for some reason lost my music player when I switched things. So envision the music playing and us signing off and everything like that. So just say goodbye. We'll drop some music in here later when you will see it live in person. So herein lies the peace of God with Jacquelyn Eckert at awakeningtogether.org and Glen Ganaway, your favorite anarchist preacher at glenganaway.com. We hope to see you on the web.
Okay, it's great, everybody. Love you. We'll do it again.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye, everybody. See you Sunday in the sanctuary.
Yep.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert and Reverend Glen Ganaway. To find out more about Jacquelyn and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glen and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glenganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.